Hello, it's the Bad Mini Painter, and today we're going to paint up our Chaos Space Marine Forgefiend, because there's a new Chaos Codex coming out, and I need some of that algorithm. Also, it's a really cool model, and I haven't really painted any Chaos on this channel, only Death Guard, so it seemed about time. Now it's a fairly old kit, so it is pretty simple to put together. The process wasn't as painful as it normally is for me. The whole gluing and cutting thing definitely isn't my favorite thing about this hobby. I do enjoy painting the models. I do enjoy when they're done. But this one came together fairly easy. Everything fitted, and there wasn't a lot of flash or anything. So maybe I was lucky. I don't know. But here we go. Oh, and don't put it on the base. You will screw yourself if you put it on the base. So I put it on the base and then I ripped it off. So for the flesh part, I start with dark brown from AK Interactive. AK Interactive is my new go-to paint. I'm going to need all the colors in AK Interactive, simply because they flow really nice without being thin, and that's rare. Often you do yourself a disservice when you're using Citadel colors, because they will either be too thick or basically they will be too thick, they will clunk up, and that's not an issue you're having with these. Cold white, because I based this black, and there are some fairly colorful spots on the model, and I wanted to try out acrylic inks. I did it wrong, but the end result was kind of cool anyway. So I go in with a mix of a transparent yellow and a red, and I just kind of start spraying it on the areas that I want to be glowing. I don't often do videos where I use an airbrush, because not all people have an airbrush and don't like to use them or whatever, but there are some effects that are really hard to achieve without it, and this is definitely one of them. So I will probably do a little bit more of that in the future, because I really like the effect that I got. Next I go in with the pastel blue from AK Interactive. I think Blue Horror is a pretty close Citadel color to this. And what I basically do is, everywhere I know I'm going to be painting gold or brass, I'm laying down a thin, uneven coat of this. Just generally all the way around all the brass metal parts. And I decide to use brass from AK Interactive for that. It's also, again, it has the quality of flowing really nicely. You don't really need to thin it that much, or at all. And it has pretty good coverage, even over black. As you can see with the acrylic, is that I got this nice glow effect, but I should have waited until I've added the brass, because I'm going to paint over a part of it, and it kind of ends up looking a little bit weird, but you can judge that. This part was definitely the most painful part of painting this model, because it's all over. You have to do this. And it takes so long, and you have to be careful to not hit the black, because it can be hard to cover up, and it was just painful, and honestly I didn't enjoy it particularly. And next I do natural steel. I think Iron Hand steel is what's coming closest to it from Citadel, but it's a fairly bright steel metal, thus the name. And I think it works quite well. I like that more than Lead Belcher. Lead Belcher has a tendency to be dull, kind of dull and dark to look at. And then when you shade it, you have to go back in and clean it up and all that good stuff. But I use natural steel from AK Interactive all over the model, all the metal parts, basically. And that's the metal embedded in the flesh on the legs and around the face, and the guns of flesh too. It's actually a kind of creepy model when you think of it, so don't think of it. Next I go in with deep brown to do some rough highlighting of all the flesh. Basically to avoid it being monochrome and make it a little bit more texture to look at. And what I do is basically all the raised areas get a thin layer of it. It looks really contrasty right now, but it dulls down quite a bit when it dries. I have tested that out on a piece of paper. I was clever. So it's not as stark a contrast as it looks right now. Then a dry brushing of aluminium from AK Interactive, and that's an almost white metal. It's very bright silvery, almost white, not white. I think it's lighter than Stormhost silver, but it's some kind of to that degree. It is very light. And I decided to dry brush all the metal with that because I'm going to use non-oil, and non-oil will dark everything down considerably. Then I realized that all these vents, I wanted to do something kind of cool with that. And I had a Pyroclast orange from Citadel. It's a air paint and it's kind of transparent. And I thought this is a perfect lace, so I will put that on and then non-oil to make it look hot and sooty, like you would expect vents to look. And the end result was actually pretty cool. I was kind of proud of myself. Anywho, as I said, non-oil, and I do that on all the metal, the silver metal, the steel metal, and on the flesh, to darken it down and to bring the two colors together. And I give a heavy layer on the vents or the exhausts on the back on this guy. A fairly thick layer. And it dulls everything down, but I've used very bright metals, so it kind of works like I wanted it to. And as the final thing, there's these little droplets, and it could be blood, but it could also be bile. So I went for that with the pistachio from AK Interactive. It's a sickly green, and I decided that that's the kind of liquid that would be dripping out of this horrible thing. And that was it. It was a fun but easy paint job, except for the brass part. That took forever. And as you can see on the guns, that I should have put on the brass and then sprayed on the acrylic. Of course, it looks a little weird that there's no reflection on the metal part, but there's reflection on the black part of the guns. On the chest area where you have the lights, whatever it is, I think it works fairly well. But all in all, I was pretty happy with this result. I've done way worse. I forgot to paint the rim. I just realizing that now. I was too excited. So, anywho, imagine it with a Steel Legion wrap on the rim and it's all good. Thank you so much for your time. If you found this video useful, please do leave a like and subscribe, and have an awesome day. Bye.